And after that, wasn't pro yet, so I still had another one lined up. Came home, and I was 2 weeks out from the WNBF Australia. And this isn't the first time WNBF has been in Australia, but it's had a few false starts over the year. Actually, now I'm really confident in it. Sebastian he comes from Taiwan. He moved with his wife back to Australia, where she's originally from, and he connected with WNBF Taiwan, who puts on the biggest shows in the WNBF. They've had 2 nearly 400-person shows that they put on. Got a ton of help from Team WNBF Taiwan. Shout out to them. Also Simon Collins, and he came out. He's the president of WNBF New Zealand to help them judge. So it was a really nice Asia Pacifica collaboration to put on the WNBF Australia show. And for a first annual show for the new WNBF affiliate, they crushed it. They had nearly 100 competitors. I want to say there was 89 or something like that, which is a sizable show. And so there's definitely enough for not only 1 pro card, but 2. And I'll get to that in a moment. But I had 2 weeks before this one, and I knew that I needed to get a little bit tighter, and then I would have the best chance, because I wasn't quite as lean as I was in 2019, even though I'd improved my physique in the off season. I'd brought up my lats, I'd brought up my delts, and I mentioned I have a narrow frame, and that was a critical piece for my physique. It really made me finally look balanced, symmetrical, and like a bodybuilder more than I did when I got my I kind of snuck in and stole the pro card back in 2011. So now with those 2 weeks, I just ran low days all the way through and then peaked in the end. And we loaded a little harder and brought it a day forward. So instead of Thursday, Friday, we ate a lot more on Wednesday, moderate amount on Thursday, moderate amount on Friday, and then just held steady on game day. And that was the best peak I've ever had. I was hard as nails. I was peaked out of my mind. Alberto Nunez, he's the one who collaborates with me and is like my coach. And I was just like, dude, you landed this plane perfectly. So I was as shredded as I've ever been, if not more so. I'd hit the peak or equaled my peak in conditioning. I had the best physique I ever had, and I also had the best peak I've ever had. And I knew that I was doing everything I could on the day, and it ended up going very well for me. So I competed in the Masters, and similarly to New Zealand, because of the first year of the Australia show, the judging panel themselves, not an external panel, but the judging panel, because it was quite good, quite robust, and they have a lot of good judges in Australia, pulling from ICN, a lot of experienced coaches, some other WNBF pros. They got to make the decision when there was too small of a division to when they wanted to award a pro card. And also, they have a unique system. Instead of having a super pro qualifier, if they have over 8, they have the opportunity to award a second pro card in a division. Right. If someone, the judging panel decides, is pro worthy. I won the Masters. It was a very competitive Masters. Big shout out to Arash. He's actually an ANBA and PNBA pro. He took second to me in the Masters. It was very tight. We got moved around, but I ended up winning, and it wasn't a big enough class for a pro card, but the panel decided that I was pro worthy. So I got what's called a Masters pro card. And that was a huge moment, but a Masters pro card only enables you to compete in the Masters pros, and not to take anything away from them. But I wanted to compete in the Open. Even though I'm 40, I'm like, you know what, most pros are in their 30s, 40s, or 50s in natural bodybuilding. We have a long competitive lifespan. So my dream is to compete in the Open Pros. It's the most competitive division. So that was awesome. It was amazing. And then I went right into it wasn't lightweights, but they split us. The cutoff was right at 80 kilos, which is what my weigh-in was. I was the heaviest of the first weight class. And then there was the over 80 kilo class. So I won that class as well. And that was a really competitive class. Alex Connor placed third. He's a really, really good bodybuilder from Australia. Arash, again, placed second to me. He entered the Open and the Masters like I did. Even in fourth, there's a gentleman named Ian. He looks awesome. He's done some damage in the ICN as a classic physique competitor, or sorry, I should say classic bodybuilding competitor. So all 5 of those guys were amazing. But I won that title, and I knew, oh man, I'm going to the overall. And they kept announcing, hey, if the judging panel decides, we have 2 pro cards we can award. And I was like, wow, I've got a really good shot here. Even if I don't win the overall, they might be able to award me my pro card. I could feel the emotion welling up all the years I've been trying, and the insecurities I had around my physique, and then my prior pro card, it wasn't legit. So I was just trying to keep it together, because I knew I was on, and I knew this was, if I had a chance, this was it. So I went to the overall, and I went up against a guy named Muhammad, and he had just crushed it at ICN. He'd crushed it even in the IFBB show as a men's physique competitor. I think he placed second or third. And this guy's a mountain of muscle. And he'd been getting in better and better shape. And maybe if he was off, I could have beat him. But he wasn't as lean as me, but he was lean enough. And he has tiny waist, big X-frame, and just a much more muscular guy than I was. So I think I gave him a good run. I gave him a good fight. But he deservedly won the overall, got his pro card. And then they had to figure out, well, all right, who's the second best bodybuilder in the show? There's two guys who Muhammad's beat. There's the 80 plus second place winner, and then there's me, who he beat in the overall. So they brought out Lawrence Greaves, who took second in the heavies. And he's also a very, very good bodybuilder. Incredibly, he's only 23. He's done some damage as well in the ICN ranks coming up. He's had an awesome season. And we then had another overall. So I got compared like back to back to back to back to back. But my peak held, and I ended up coming out on top, and I got my WNBF Pro card.
Congrats, man.
Thank you. And it was, I'm still trying to make sense of it, because I've been trying to get this it's been on my list of goals since I went to that show and test judged in 2006. So there's 17 years of desire that came out, and me working diligently and consistently and not being sure that I'd ever be able to do it, and having insecurity around my physique. So to kind of have that monkey off my back, it's been a huge blessing. And what's crazy to me is that qualified me in the professional division for Worlds. So I'm now a week out from the most competitive show in natural bodybuilding in the most competitive division. And for a natural bodybuilder, it's like qualifying for the Olympics. So I've already feel like I've won. And it's something that I just trying to take it in, because I didn't know that I would ever get here.